What's up, my martial arts fanatics? Welcome back to System Breakdowns. As always, I'm Coach Greg, and this month we're talking about the assassin baby Brandon Moreno, who is an excellent case study. Not only is he one of the most likable fighters in the UFC, partially because he still helps his parents at the Pinata Factory down in Tijuana. He's got one of the coolest nicknames in the UFC for sure, and he spends his winning on Legos, so I can respect that move. I like it. But what we're really talking about today is the excellent system that's allowed him to go from somebody who had some early losses in the UFC against Pantoja and Ray Borg and stuff like that, got him cut, and then came back, revamped his system, came back stronger, and has had an amazing return since with amazing fights against Davison Figueiredo, this most recent fight against Kai Kara-France. Really puts on exceptional fights, and he's a great case study for what we're looking at as far as building a system that is consistent, that he can go back to over and over again, that is also teachable. So stay tuned. Let's start breaking down Brandon Moreno. Okay, so let's start with some defensive tactics and some outside range fighting that he likes to do that he'll spend a lot of time on. The guy is a boxer and a Mexican Jiu-Jitsu champion. He's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. So his game kind of builds around this. His striking is what he's probably best known for, but he does have an excellent ground game and takedown game. So what you're going to see a lot of times from him is, first of all, when he enters range, I'm always very interested in how guys enter range safely to get their shots without eating a lot back. So this is kind of like range entry and defensive tactics, all kind of built into one. One of the things I really like about him, and I think this is what I like about flyweights anyway, is their activity level. They never stop being active. And when you look at Brandon Moreno, when he enters range, he's very active entering range. I'm a big believer that when you're not actively engaged in your opponent, you need to be active from the outside anyway. For me, I like to do a lot of feints, right? Constantly keep them thinking about what's coming at them so that you're keeping active on the outside, forcing them to constantly contend with something, right? So that they're never just feeling like they can enter. And what you'll see a lot of out of him is a lot of side-to-side head movement, right? A lot of this type of stuff, which is great as he's entering range so that he's never staying still, right? A lot of this side-to-side. Simultaneously, he'll add in a lot of lead hand tactics, right? Constantly keeping them guessing. He's going to combine this. So this is nice because by doing this, not only does it help set up his techniques so that he can enter in with an attack, it keeps them guessing about what's coming. It's in their face a little bit. It's frustrating. It also creates a frame where it's hard for them to bypass this to access him. But this movement is really kind of in your face, right? But it's also clogging the lane, okay? So all this is very useful for him to use this lead hand that you'll see him throw out there sometimes. It also allows him to kind of figure out his range and to keep them at bay. Very, very useful. He'll also add in a lot of probing jabs on the outside, right? Whether he hits or not, he's trying to get a reaction out of him. More importantly, he's going to later on use this to set up some of his combinations. A lot of what he does is built off the jab, but the jab is an effective tool anyway as a rangefinder, and also defensively, keeping them at bay, right? Getting reactions out of them, clogging just like this does, but in a different way. So he starts using this to kind of get a feel for where they're at. He might throw in some lead side hooks as well. Then from here, a lot of activity, keeping the hands up as he enters in a lot of times so that he can always defend out. From here, you'll see a lot of level changes if he starts feeling like guys are threatening at him. This is when he starts getting his takedowns. We'll talk about that later. This is when he starts coming under, attacking the body. We'll talk about that later in counters as well. But if they start coming at him, he can either escape out or he can come in here and level change down. You'll see a lot of that as a defensive tactic. Now from here, from opportunism range from the outside, I already mentioned here, you see a lot of jabbing and you're going to see a lot of lead side hook. Now, what I like about what he does is he stays it just outside of range, outside of their punching range, so that for them to get to him, they have to make an extraneous movement of some sort. They can't just easily hit him with a jab. He knows he has to do this as well. So he's really good at springing in with his jabs and catching them, right? Coming in here, springing with this lead hook, catching them. Simultaneously, he'll start mixing in some leg kicks. Opportunism range, right? Where I can hit you, but you can't easily hit me. He's out here, pop, easy leg kicks. And then occasionally, he'll add in that lead side head kick. Mostly we're talking about this as a follow-up, as a chasing roundhouse is what I call it, when guys start backing off. But a lot of times, you'll see he's out here, And if he feels like they're backing up a little bit every time he comes in, he'll switch and he'll go to the high roundhouse kick. And he's very good at hitting that lead side roundhouse kick where he comes in here, pop, right? Like a skip roundhouse kick. And he's so good at level changing off because guys forget it's there. So he's in here, they're thinking about boxing, they're thinking about the takedowns, the leg kicks. He makes him forget about it. And then pop, he catches them. And it's a nice, quick technique that he lands very successfully. So that's mostly what you're going to see from his outside range. From here, you're going to start seeing him build onto this. All right, so now let's talk about how he builds off of this and creates combinations and opportunities to land what is his most successful striking now. First of all, he has a couple combinations he goes to really consistently well. You know, he's got this active jab, the leg kick and stuff like that. But the nice thing about the jabs, he starts getting their hands up. And this is going to set him up for a couple combinations that he does really well. Probably my favorite combination of his is the 1-5-2, where he gets their hands up, pop, pop, and he puts that uppercut cross behind it. The uppercut cross is really nice because the uppercut pops their chin up to give you nice access to that cross anyway. But, you know, this is a technique that he's really cleaned up a lot over the years. If you look at his earlier fights, it's bam, bam. He overthrows it, right? It's less successful. He tries to finish them all at once. As he gets a little bit more experience, he tightens it up, and it's less power but more effective. Right? So he's in here, getting the jab, getting their hands up, pop, pop. Quick, clean technique. Pop the chin up here. Now, if they start defending tight where he feels like he can't access the uppercut, of course he's going to go to the body instead and then put that cross, sometimes a little bit more on the outside. So he goes to the uppercut, gets their hands to drop, and puts the cross behind it. But ideally, he wants to come in here, pop, throwing the jab, pop, pop. He'll also start doing stuff like switching to a 3-2 instead of a 1-2. So he's in here, 1, pop, pop. And he starts throwing that 3-2 instead, so he throws the hook cross. Also, you'll see a lot of 1-1-2s out of him where he throws the jab and then pop, pop, pop. What's nice about a lot of these is you'll notice a lot of these combinations he ends on the cross because a common reaction is it starts backing guys up. As guys start backing up, he does the chasing roundhouse kick. And it feels very natural off of the cross to step into a high roundhouse kick. So what happens a lot of times, he's in here working the outside, right? Getting his one-offs, throwing the jab, probing, and then pop, 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 right? He throws his 1-5-2. As they back up, he throws here, and as he throws the cross, it feels very natural to step and then chase them with the high roundhouse kick. So pop, 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 pop. This is how he catches guys a lot of times. That high roundhouse kick, that chasing roundhouse kick is money. Guys start backing up, and it comes over the shoulder a lot of times. So as he's in here one more time, throws the jab, puts a 1-5-2, and it covers a lot of ground. So that as he's in here, he can really step deep to cover that distance with the chasing roundhouse kick. And as guys are running away, it catches him. He throws a little bit at a 45 with a slight curve at the end. Not quite a question mark kick, but just enough to get over the shoulder. So it's here. Catches him over the shoulder. Very high success rate on landing this. He probably lands that high roundhouse kick more than anything else, to be honest. Now, if they come forward, he's doing that to chase them, right? So as he puts a combination behind him, common reaction is guys start moving back. But what happens if they start moving forward? Right? He throws here. They press forward to intercept him, right? Or they move forward on their own before he gets a chance to get it off. What does he do? Well, if they move forward, his probably most common defense is to drop his hands low to a high shell, pop, pop, pop. 2 uppercuts to the body or 2 hooks to the body, pop, pop, and then a high hook behind it a lot of times. Works really, really well. So if I'm in here, right, and this guy presses forward, I drop down, pop, 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 and he will hit this frequently and with great success. I like it because the high shell really protects him against most of the stuff coming in here. So as he's in here, if he feels like they're moving forward on him, he drops down, and then it gives him a lot of access because most guys in the UFC tend to be headhunters. It gets him underneath it, and even if they start attacking low, they switch and maybe switch to an uppercut. He's pretty well protected here because remember, he's at a little bit of an outside range to begin with anyway. So the risk of hooks coming around, it's going to be harder for them to land that because they have to come at him with a lateral attack as they press forward right? They have to cover that distance. So as they do, they're most likely going to come up the middle. Even if they come low, he's pretty well protected. Pop, pop, pop. It's a very nice, safe response to a lot of what's coming at him. Now, he also will start to attack his takedowns from here. I might as well go into this right here. As he's in here, as guys press forward, great opportunity for him to shoot the double leg. Now, what I like about his shots is that he doesn't get too committed to this drive forward back to the cage. Instead, what he most commonly will do, he shoots. As he comes in for the double leg, arm wraps around the back, and he uses that to take it back. Very commonly, even whether he shoots a single leg, arm wraps around the hip. If he shoots a double leg, arm wraps around the hip. Every time he comes in here from this position, he just focuses on getting his arm around, step to the outside, shrug, and now he's got it back. This is a lot better than expending the energy trying to push them forward. You know, a lot of guys are really good at takedown defense if you continue to drive forward, or they're going to use this to get to the cage and start working their way out. He doesn't want that. He wants a back. Backs, I'm a big believer in get the back whenever possible. Anyway, because from the back, I have total control, right? It's easier to get takedowns. It's easier to strike if he doesn't get the takedown from here. Like if he tries to mat return him and he feels like they're slipping off here, you know, great opportunity to start throwing attacks at him, and he'll land a couple shots on him. Even if he doesn't get the takedown, he still gets some nice shots off. So common response, as guys start coming forward on him, he uses this as a reactive shot. So once again, if he backs them up, chasing a roundhouse kick, right? Use a combination, chasing a roundhouse kick. Probe at them from the outside until they back up. If they move forward, drop down, pop, 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 or drop down double leg. As they start to escape out, circle the back, get the back control, start working for takedowns from here, or if you lose it, get some big shots off. In terms of takedown defense, you know, early response, you'll see a lot of common tactics, you know, limp leg out and stuff like that. If he does get taken down, what he'll do as a late response, most commonly from here, he gets taken down. You know, if he gets dropped all the way down, he's going to get up on an arm, start pushing the head down, scooting his hips back to the cage, and then from right here, if he's pushing the head down, he's going to use this to get up. If they happen to catch it back, he's going to use this to break it free. Now, we just talked about back is the best place to be. Sometimes defensively, it's also nice too. So it's kind of like half guard in this respect, where it's a landmark. Somebody having a back against the cage, it's good for me having the back because there's less. He doesn't have offensive opportunities. I can take him down, and it's a landmark I can work from. But defensively, it's also a landmark I can work from as well to get back to my feet and get clear. I can make it more difficult by using the cage as something I kind of frame up against and start breaking grips and put all their effort on just holding on to me until I get free. So it's kind of like half guard, where whoever has the better game plan from there often can be more successful. So if he does get taken down, he can use this to get up on here, get his butt against it, push the head down, get to his feet. If they do start to get his back, leaning against it. You see this a lot in the Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev fight, by the way. Using the frame, leaning against the cage, making it difficult to take him down until he can break the grip and then get free. The other thing you'll see him do a lot of times from here, as he gets taken down, he works himself up against the cage. If he doesn't feel like he can get up, a lot of times you'll see him go 2-on-1 on this arm, and he's thinking Kimuras because he's got a very, very nice Kimura attack that he'll do off of here. He'll also do this once he gets up to his feet. You'll see this in some cases. From breaking the grip, instead he comes over to the Kimura, steps through and pulls guard, and he'll come and fall back against the cage into a Kimura and start using this to start bringing them over, getting to a top position. All right, he'll start coming in here, using the Kimura to come up over top. So that Kimura is very nasty, but since we're talking about the ground, might as well finish up there. Once he gets guys to the ground, from a closed guard, you know, he'll attack the Kimura, like I said. He'll also do a lot of tactics, you know, standard stuff like, you know, I'm in the closed guard, I open up, put my feet on the hips, start kicking him off, technical stand-up. But the other thing that he'll do is you'll start seeing him looking to attack triangles, be very threatening from here, but mostly use this as opportunities to get to a back, start climbing over and attacking the back. From the back, man, he is so good at hitting this. He'll force them to turn away. Same thing with like when he goes for takedowns. He's so quick at jumping on the back, getting the body lock. He gets that body triangle, and then he's good at strike and get into the choke, right? Strike, 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 threaten the choke. They peel it away. Strike, threaten the choke, strike, threaten the choke, and then eventually he finishes. He doesn't give them a lot of time to work, and it's such a difficult position because you have to deal with 2 threats at once. Really 3 if you're good at doing the body triangle in MMA, because I have to deal with the punching, the threat of the choke, and getting this leg off of me. It's very dangerous, and he's really good at catching the back quickly, getting to the body triangle, and then just attack, attack, attack. So that's most commonly what you're going to see out of his jiu-jitsu, but he's got some really nice stuff outside of that anyway. You know, he can deviate really well because he does have a lot of experience, but he does seem to show a preference for getting to the back and finishing from there. So that's basically for Brandon Moreno. Very consistent system that he can go to. Once again, he drives them back using the threat of the jab to open up his combinations, uses the combinations to set up the chasing roundhouse kick. If they press forward, drops down, pop, pop, pop. If they press forward, drops down, double leg, catch it back, take him down. If they take him down, getting back to his feet, showing his way back up, or even threatening the Kimura or pulling close guard, threatening the Kimura, getting to a back, every opportunity he can get, body triangle with a rear naked choke. That's his game plan, and he can do it over and over and over again. And he's got the skill set to make the deviations that he needs to make while simultaneously being able to consistently reel them into what he does best. And that is the mark of a great system. So stay tuned. When we come back, we'll talk about some opportunities. Okay, opportunities for growth. I'm going to be honest, I'm nitpicking. Brandon Moreno's got such a great system that these are just kind of picking at a couple things that could potentially be useful, but his system's so great, it's hard to mess with a thing that's already working for him. But if I were going to add anything, here's what it would be. I would say probably the one thing I would add to his game is sometimes he gets in these flurries and he wants to box it out, and I don't think it always works in his favor. Sometimes, you know, he wants to get in here, throw these punches while they're thrown at him. You know, he's at his best when he can just stay on the outside and pick them apart, right? Pop, pop. This, I think, is when he's at his best. When I think he runs into a little bit of trouble is he gets in here, and sometimes he wants to just kind of box out, and he's not really underneath him. He's just, right, trying to throw back at him before they can hit him. He gets into a little bit of rock'em sock'ems. They're a little bit more technical than that, but he likes to get into these exchanges, and he wants to land. I think this is an opportunity because the risk versus reward I don't think is there. Yeah, you might land on them, but you also frequently, they'll catch you. And I think Brandon Moreno frequently, I wouldn't say frequently, but he does sometimes come out worse for wear on these. I think the better solution, in my opinion, is when those occur, I'd like to see him do more tie clinching and get into the knee. Very similar to what you see out of a Mighty Mouse, where, you know, as he gets in, pop, 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 you know, and he starts throwing. Don't stay in long exchanges. Get to the clinch, throw some knee strikes, force them to disengage. I feel like if he used a little bit of tie clinching in those flurry situations, I think that would work in his favor. Probably better than trying to box it out. I feel like sometimes that's his one detriment. Other things to maybe nitpick at, I'd like to see a little bit more kicking out of him. And I mean, like a front kick would be really well. A front kick to the body, I think he would get a lot of use out of. He's got good leg kicks on the outside, right? Good jab. If he threw in a rear leg front kick every once in a while and just caught guys up the middle, it would force them to stay backed up against the cage where he wants them, so they'd be less prone to want to maybe get into those exchanges. And it's also a nice way to start dropping hands to set up those hand techniques, because he likes to use a lot of boxing. I think guys who have good boxing, it's nice to throw in a front kick to the body to start getting guys to drop down a little bit, so that then you can feint it, pop, pop, pop. Once again, nitpicking, right? This is just things that if he did it, I'd be like, oh, that's going to work really well for him. But I hate to give too much like recommendations because he does so much so well. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to nitpick too much at it because I think that he has really brought his game so far. But I think if I were going to add 2 things to his game, maybe that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below, as always, if there's somebody that you want to see let me know. I have an ongoing list of your guys' recommendations, and I always take them into account. I try to do the fighters that both interest me, that I think I can build a good system around and demonstrate, but also guys that I think interest you. There are some guys that sometimes get recommended to me. There's just not that much to stay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like he do a full system breakdown. Somebody like Paulo Costa. I can explain what he does, but I feel like doing a whole system breakdown, I don't see much of a point in it. I don't want to call him a thug, but he's not what I would consider somebody super technical in terms of his system. He's more just ferocious, I guess is the best way to say it. But I always take into advice whatever you guys recommend, so I can try to do what you guys want as well as what interests me. Other than that, if you guys are interested, make sure you check out my website below, devildogmartialarts.com. Not only is there some amazing new content that we're putting up there that's not going to be on the YouTube channel, but it helps me out, and so I appreciate you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you share with your friends.